When a woman has truly moved on, she enters a new chapter of her life with clarity, strength, and a sense of peace that cannot be faked. Moving on is not just about ending communication or deleting memories. It's about an inner transformation that reflects in her words, her actions, and even the silence she chooses. It is about letting go of the weight of the past, releasing the pain that once held her down, and embracing the freedom that comes with healing. And when that happens, there are certain things she will never do again, no matter how much you try to pull her back into the cycle. She will never chase after you. A woman who has truly moved on has no desire to run after someone who let her go or failed to value her when she gave her heart. The days of waiting by the phone, hoping for a message, or checking your social media to see if you still think of her, are long gone. She has taught herself that love should not feel like begging, and her dignity matters more than keeping someone who walked away. She will never allow your excuses to blind her again. Once upon a time, she may have believed every apology, every promise, and every sweet word you gave her. She might have convinced herself that things would change, that love could fix the cracks, and that loyalty could grow again. But when she has moved on, her heart is wiser. She doesn't look for signs where there are none, and she doesn't hold on to illusions. She sees actions for what they are, not what she wishes them to be. She will never reopen the door that she has closed. Moving on requires courage because it means saying goodbye to comfort zones, shared memories, and even the fantasy of what could have been. When she shuts that door, it is final. Not out of anger or hate, but out of self-respect. She knows that reopening it would only bring her back into a cycle of disappointment. She chooses to walk forward instead of going in circles. She will never compare her present with her past. For her, you are no longer the standard of love, and your memory no longer defines her happiness. She doesn't measure her current relationships or her peace by what she once had with you. She has redefined her worth, her desires, and her expectations. And she has realized that she deserves love that feels consistent, supportive, and uplifting. Not love that confuses, breaks, or leaves. She will never hold resentment in her heart. Forgiveness is part of moving on, not for your sake but for hers. A woman who carries bitterness is still holding on, but a woman who has healed lets go of the anger because she refuses to let it poison her future. That doesn't mean she forgets, but it means she chooses peace over revenge. She no longer allows the past to live rent-free in her mind. She will never ignore the lessons she has learned. Every heartbreak teaches something valuable, whether it's about boundaries, self-worth, or the true meaning of love. She carries those lessons with her like armor, not to harden her heart but to protect it. When she meets someone new, she doesn't approach with naive blind trust, but with clarity about what she will and will not accept. She has built a stronger version of herself, shaped by experience, and she honors that growth by not repeating old mistakes. She will never wait for you to realize her worth. Once she may have hoped that one day you would wake up and see what you lost. She might have imagined scenarios where you regret letting her go and come back with promises to do better. But when she has moved on, she no longer needs your recognition to validate her value. She already knows what she brings to the table, and she doesn't need anyone's approval to feel complete. She will never dim her light for anyone. Love should never require someone to shrink themselves, hide their emotions, or give up their dreams just to keep another person happy. If she did that before, she has learned her lesson. Now she stands in her full light, embracing her passions, her ambitions, and her individuality. A woman who has moved on has no fear of being too much, because the right people will see her as just enough. She will never let nostalgia trap her. Old songs, old pictures, or old places might remind her of what once was, but they no longer have the power to break her. Nostalgia might visit, but it doesn't stay. She has learned to smile at the memories without wishing for their return, because she understands that not everything that feels familiar is meant for her future. She will never go back to who she was before. The woman who loved you may have been softer, more forgiving, and maybe even blind to red flags. But the woman she is now is different, stronger, wiser, and more self-aware. Moving on doesn't just mean leaving the relationship. It means evolving into a version of herself who refuses to settle for less than what she truly deserves. She will never lose herself again. Perhaps in the past, she gave so much of herself that she forgot who she was outside of the relationship. She may have sacrificed her needs, her voice, or her dreams in the name of love. But not anymore. Now she knows that real love should never require self-abandonment. She loves herself first, and from that place of wholeness, she creates healthier connections. She will never cry for what is gone. Of course, she may have shed tears when the bond broke, but those days are over. A woman who has moved on does not grieve endlessly for what no longer belongs to her life. She saves her tears for real loss, not for someone who was never willing to hold her heart with care. Her strength lies in her ability to let go with grace. She will never return to a broken cycle of love and pain. She has already walked through the fire and emerged on the other side. Going back would mean undoing all the growth and healing she fought for. And she respects herself too much to repeat what almost destroyed her. Most importantly, she will never stop believing in love. Moving on doesn't make her cold or hopeless, it makes her wiser about love. She understands that love should be mutual, respectful, and nourishing. And she knows that one person's inability to love her properly doesn't mean she is unworthy of love altogether. She still believes in connection, but this time she won't settle for less. So when you see a woman who has truly moved on, know this: she is not pretending. She is not secretly waiting for your return. She is not stuck in the past. She has healed, grown, and embraced a new chapter. And in that chapter, there is no space for the patterns she once tolerated. She will never again be the woman who cried for someone who didn't see her worth. She will never again be the woman who put her heart in careless hands. She is now the woman who values herself enough to walk away, to stay away, and to keep moving forward. That is the truth about a woman who has moved on. Her power lies not in forgetting you, but in remembering herself. And once she has remembered who she truly is, there is nothing you can do to bring her back to who she used to be.